Nikki Parker is the definition of a desperate woman who happened to put down skinny woman to make herself feel better. Let's get started. So, currently, I'm on season 4 of the Parkers, and while watching, I realized Nikki Parker is desperate. Oh my gosh. So, Nikki Parker is the mom in the show to Kimberly Parker. And their love interest, well, he's not interested in her at all, is Professor Ogilvy. And while watching the show, when she first laid eyes on him, she's had the mindset of, I gotta have him, which is the worst mindset you could ever have as a woman. And I remember while watching the show, is that I noticed in like season 1 to season 3, if I'm not mistaken, Professor Ogilvy was not interested in her. In fact, he was showed physically remotely disgusted by her because of how she would use, like, she basically make inappropriate jokes, and a lot of them was along with SA or SH. I can't see the words because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube, but you know what I'm saying. And it's very inappropriate adult jokes, underlying jokes to them, and he looked clearly uncomfortable. And also knowing the fact that he had a girlfriend. And when she found out he had a girlfriend, she always nitpick at her and always talk about how too skinny she was. And by the way, I noticed that she kind of put weight on a hierarchy, meaning, like, you know how I talked about in the video, people who criticize light skins, criticize mixed people, or people who benefit from texture and featureism and, colorism. I realized that she has a different form where she put body type on a hierarchy as well. And I noticed that, people who nitpick at those things tend to put it on a hierarchy. And in that case, she nitpicks at the girl's weight. She nitpicks on how she can't cook. And, she's like, basically like, I can be the woman for him. And she also nitpicks on how probably if you took care of Professor Ogilvy, he wouldn't be gravitating towards me. And that's a huge pick me mindset. It's very disgusting. Also, too, what I noticed is that besides the point that she stalks him, that she has literally keys to his house. When I know people try to be like, well, this is a show, it's funny. And I'm just like, isn't this a show that you guys say this quote unquote represent a black woman? Like, if this is the case, this is not really a good representation. I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like the only good representation she had on the show was that I didn't really see her. No. It was one episode where Nick Cannon was on the show, and he's played as the character of Kimberly's love interest in one episode. Basically, how he's making fun of big people and how she stood up and whatnot. How they protest against that. I mean, that was the only good thing. But other than that, like, it was very, very scary how she was kept pursuing her love interest towards Professor Ogilvy, to the point she would be like, oh, my man, or my husband, my boo, and meanwhile they're not together, and I realized that when I heard some black women tell me that, oh, this is our representation, guys need to pick and choose if if it is, you know what, if it is, it is. But why you're upset when you're looked upon this in real life, if that makes sense? You know what I'm saying here? with this stereotype of gimme, gimme, gimme. I need him, and then you put down skinny women. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying all ambiguous monoracial black women think like this. You know what I'm saying? But I am saying for the ones that are saying this, this is not really a good thing. Like I realized that while watching the show, while growing up, the reason I'm bringing up this topic is because I remember while growing up, the unambiguous monoracial woman that watched this show, they'd be like, "Oh, I relate," or "Oh, he loves her deep down," and they say, "Oh, he eventually chooses her." I'm like, at what cost? Of him kept saying, "Stop touching me. No means no." I mean, like that. Like I don't know. I really cringe at the scenes where she does that. It's not even funny at the point where it's like, "Oh, this is disgusting." And also too, this kind of reminds me of Tristan from Gilmore Girls. I mean, not saying they're the same, but it kind of reminds me how people's like trying to glamorize Tristan from Gilmore Girls, like saying, "Oh, Rory should have picked him. Rory should have picked him." You only saying that because he's a good-looking guy, and in reality, he kept crossing her boundaries, just like Nikki Parker kept crossing Professor Ogilvy boundaries. And with that being said, I feel as though Nikki Parker is a definition of a pick me a little bit. Not to all women, but to women that Professor Ogilvy likes, because Professor Ogilvy, with the women he chooses in the show, had a very distinct look. They're like tall, or like 5'5" to like 5'9", and they have really nice skinny bodies, and they well put together. I'm not saying Monique is not, because Monique is fabulous, but the character gives off desperate energy when she kept putting down the skinny woman, and because she sees that as a flaw, but she also sees it as a hierarchy in some sort, where she talks about, "Oh, I could break you like a twig," or "I don't make me throw you against," you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I feel like that's my opinion with Nikki Parker on the show, because I remember like growing up, many unambiguous black women used to tell me like, "Oh yeah, this is our representation," or "I love Nikki funny." I'm just like, this ain't good. And the crazy part is, at least from my experience, the women that said this are the women that act like Nikki. I seen it happen. If you want story times of the things I saw of these women that act like Nikki Parker, please comment down below. Anyways, have you seen this happen? Do you think you could relate to Nikki Parker? Do you think it's as funny as this show, but scary in real life? Let me know. Bye, Exotical Barbies.